Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to have you here with us at Sundance, London. Maybe you could begin with a brief introduction to your film, Sasquatch Sunset. If people don't know anything about it, what can they expect?
I'm David, and this is Nathan, and our film Sasquatch Sunset is about a family of Bigfoots that are big feet. I don't know, however you want to say it. That it chronicles their lives over the course of 4 seasons in the wilderness, similar to other nature films. It's all from the perspective of these creatures, and so you're just experiencing the whole trials of life through their point of view, in all its absurd glory.
This is not your sort of average movie. It feels very fresh and original and unconventional. Please tell us, what was the genesis of it? What sparked the idea?
We've been obsessed with Bigfoot since we were kids. When we'd seen there's this one piece of film that is kind of what kicked off the modern Bigfoot obsession. It came out in the late '60s, and it's just of a Bigfoot walking across a clearing. I don't know. America doesn't have much in terms of folklore, because it's so young, and so that's kind of we got Bigfoot, and but so we've always been obsessed with it because of that. And then I think just in terms of this film, the quote unquote footage out there of it was always of the same thing, of it, walking or running away or something. And we always wondering, well, what else is it doing, and what's going on in the interior lives of these creatures? And so we just wanted to construct a story that was from their perspective, that kind of explored the relationship between humans in the natural world, and kind of the gray area between human and animal behavior, and find the kind of both the absurdity and the poignancy within that.
I mean, I think what also kind of challenges convention in terms of cinema is taking, these very recognizable faces in the likes of Jesse and Riley, and completely covering them up. So you're kind of taking them on for their talents, but not in the way that we might usually expect, which is like, oh, that's an actor that I recognize, or I like his work. So what was it like kind of taking these very recognizable people and transforming them into your big feet?
There's something perversely humorous about that to us, and that's what they got it too. The actors, they loved that about it, that they were utilizing different skills than they would in other films. In a lot of ways, it's almost like, even though there's very rich sound design and music and everything, it's in some ways, it's performance-wise almost, there's some elements that are similar to a silent film acting or something, because so much of it is conveyed through their physicality, or just the subtlest of gestures with their eyes, just conveying so much information. And that was something, even though they're covered head to toe in prosthetics, we never wanted their eyes covered, because we wanted them, because that's kind of like there's so much imperceptible information that we give through eye contact, and we wanted that to be, them to be able to utilize that.
Talk us through actually turning people into, these creatures. I mean, head to toe. It must have taken hours. I mean, I can't imagine how many times you had to do it as well. And you yourself were on the inside of that?
Yeah.
How uncomfortable? Or?
Well, yeah, from the start, it was like a full body cast, where we were all covered in this goop, and then they made molds of our face and our bodies. And so these suits they're foam latex, and they're form-fitting, and they have this musculature and this fur on top, and they weigh about 40 or 50 pounds, and these huge feet, shoes, and everything. And it was a process. It was like an hour to 2 hours to put on all the stuff. But there's something really exciting and liberating about being underneath all that makeup. You instantly feel very powerful. You feel very animalistic. And so it was we did some rehearsing where we were getting on the same page with mannerisms, and the way we kind of communicated to each other, and the way we moved, so that we would look like a species, like we'd all look like the same kind of creature, and not like 4 different interpretations of Bigfoot. But as soon as we got on the makeup, it was it was really easy to just kind of disappear into that. And especially we wanted to shoot this out in the wilderness. This isn't a green screen movie. We wanted to like take these fantastical animals, these creatures, and kind of make them feel as real and natural as possible. So it meant we had to go deep into the woods in Northern California and kind of be almost immersive with these costumes, and it was surprisingly like really easy to feel like you were supposed to feel, I guess.
And what's quite clever about it is, I mean, I guess when you first start watching the film, it's quite daunting, the idea that there's not going to be any dialogue to kind of hold your hand or voiceover, but you kind of settle in, you kind of tune in to their rhythm and the way they're speaking, and you're almost starting to feel like, oh, maybe I kind of understand what they're saying, Like,
well, it's like the thing. Everybody who, before they see it, we've had this has been one of the consistencies. It's like people are like, how do you understand what's going on? Is there subtitles? Is there narration? Is there voiceover? If there's no dialogue, how can a movie exist if there's no dialogue? And it's like, well, like David said, silent films were around forever. You instantly pick up, like, as soon as you get on the wavelength, they talk to each other in grunts, and it's like you know exactly what they're trying to say to each other, or what they're trying to like convince the other one to do or whatever. So it's
And also, so much of what they're doing, I mean, it's focused on the basic needs of these living creatures. It's relatable and clear what their intentions and needs are. So So I think it's, once you dial into the wavelength of it, it's pretty straightforward.
Also, I wanted to ask about like making your audience a bit uncomfortable. Like, I love how it just really leans into kind of like grossing us out a bit, like whether it's like when the way they're eating or dribbling or, kind of, delving into their baser instincts. But after a while, does it kind of make you realize, well, essentially that's what humans are as well, underneath all of our sort of social conventions, et cetera, like that's really how we are too. So is there something quite powerful about that?
That's a really good point, and that was something that we, like, early on, we felt like we did things in this film we would never do with like human characters, but it just felt like we had to, because if these are every other animal in the animal kingdom outside of humans, they don't have this thing called shame, and it's just matter of fact, and it's just like what stuff that we deem as gross or pleasant, it's like all normalized to them. And so it felt, and because we're operating from their point of view, it felt like we would be selling it short if we then sanitized it in some way. And that's what we, as humans, we love to sanitize things and frame and control the world in this nice and tidy way that doesn't make us uncomfortable. And like, well, if we're doing this from these it's not from a human's point of view, and these aren't humans, we have to really go approach it from that point of view where we just embrace the whole spectrum and normalize it all, and whether it's something more absurd or gross or poignant, it's all just part of the spectrum of life experience for them, and just embrace it wholeheartedly without judgment, and not hide it and not fetishize it, just like matter of fact, and then move on, and because they have, anyone that's had a dog or a cat sees the exact same things in this movie over and over, but it's something that they have because they represent kind of a missing link, and because they have they have human-like qualities as well. I think that's where the discomfort comes, because you see yourself in them a little, and you don't want to see yourself in them, because then you have to face the fact that we don't control that we are animals, and I think that's something that humans like to avoid, and especially as I think now more than, I don't know, just the more as time goes on, we always want to be more and more in control of our environment, and so we wanted to really play against it and lean into it and embrace the discomfort.
Was there any moments that the actors were like, oh God, I don't know if I can do that, or you're like, like when you're like throwing up and stuff, was it actually quite fun?
Oh yeah, I think all. I mean, some of the more absurd moments were our most, like, the actors were most looking forward to, just because it was like just crazy. And again, like, those things you don't normally get to do if you are, without the makeup and playing a human. So I think that was yeah, yeah, every day was a different adventure and a challenge, but there was always some, you would turn the page, oh, this is what we're doing tomorrow. That's like the scene I'm most looking forward to doing, or my most favorite scene, and it was like that every day.
Right, yeah, and the script from this because this is an unconventional film, the script had to be really clear what our intentions were with it, just to get everyone on the same page, that everyone making this, the same movie. And so I don't know, so it was very clear and detailed as to, like, the things that, because we didn't want anyone to feel caught off guard with with what they were doing or anything. It was like, no, you're either you're either into this or you're not, and we didn't want anyone to be surprised. So it was very detailed in terms of everything that they did, and and then thankfully the cast, like, they got the tone and the spirit of it, and they were all in. So it would be hard to, it would have been impossible to do this film otherwise. But no, every crazy thing we did, everyone was excited, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. It was something they hadn't experienced before. So and then we're also doing it out in the wilderness, in these kind of conditions that would be crazy under normal film circumstances. So it added to it all.
And yeah, as you mentioned, not using green screen, actually being there filming. I mean, to an extent, it's almost like a nature film, when you watch the David Attenborough type thing, and you feel like, oh God, I just spent an hour and a half, in the forest, and thinking about, like, oh, well, what would I eat if I couldn't cook something, or I couldn't go to the supermarket, and how would we pass the time? And there's something very immersive and pleasant about that as well.
Yeah, that was important, just because we wanted to, like, legitimize these creatures as much as possible, and so part of that was shooting on location in these really isolated, very kind of primal spots with these redwood forests that were, I don't know, thousands of years old, and with real animals and that sort of things. Everything we could to kind of help to, and we're dealing with all kinds of crazy weather and everything. So much of it just kind of like adapting to the environment, and instead of like a controlled environment or set where we're manipulating everything. It was so that gave it that kind of naturalistic feel, by everything surrounding them was something that was something we couldn't control, or something real.
And in terms of what people can take away, what we sort of realize in terms of the time period they're in, what do you hope people kind of think about and reflect on in that sense from watching the film?
I guess the kind of art that we like the most and try to make is some that leaves some breathing room for people to kind of come to it on their own terms. I'm not, like, really interested in art that, like, is preachy or didactic, in any way. And so I think we like putting ideas out there, but then giving people room to take what they want from it. I mean, I think some of the things we like most is if it's two people sitting next to each other in a theater, and one might have a different reaction, take something away different from it than the others, because we really wanted this to work on different levels, where it has the more surface absurdity, but then something more going on if people want it. I mean, ultimately, just it kind of hopefully dials into what. Maybe what people would take away from it. Sorry, it's my long-winded way of saying maybe what people would take away from it is just like whatever, in terms of what their relationship is with the natural world. What that means to them, which is different from person to person.
What has it meant to you to have the film in Sundance, now here in London? What have the reactions been like? Are you expecting it to be any different here than it was in Utah?
Well, I don't know. We're excited to. Yeah, we had a great premiere there, and it's it's a divisive film, which we knew going into it, and as long as someone's passionate about it one way or the other, that's fine. As long as it's a natural response, then that's fine by us. But I don't know. Yeah, we're excited to watch it with the British audience. So many films and humor is growing up has been influenced by British cinema. So I don't know. Yeah, we're excited to watch it with the audience here.
And how do you view Sundance as a festival? Because I guess it is a great platform for films that are perhaps pushing the boundaries a bit and not sort of resting on their laurels in terms of, fitting into genre and, cinematic conventions. So, is it great to have a festival that really embraces that and brings it to sort of different audiences?
It's hard enough to get something like this out in the world, and so to have, a festival like Sundance has been so supportive of us over the years, and we owe them so much. I mean, they've gotten behind us, over and over again, and it really means a lot. And I think we need that has helped us to kind of take these kind of unconventional ideas and kind of give them a wider exposure than we would have had otherwise.
And do you know what you're going to work on next? Or are you still...
We have a couple things, but until it's real, it's not real. So.
Did you hang on to your costume? Have you saved it for a fancy dress party? Or...
Yeah. I mean,
You never want to wear that ever again?
It's so funny because it takes it. You can't just throw it on. It's not like a mask you can put on. You like the makeup people. It was amazing watching them work because they're so talented. But like I said, it took like 2 hours. So it's like, oh, why don't you just throw on the costume? It's like, no, I need my person with me so that they can glue it all on.
I'll be with you in 3 hours.
Yeah. And then it takes like an hour to get off. So it's like a whole...
Maybe not worth it for Halloween.
It's not something you can put on and just walk outside.
Well, we did it came out last month in America, and for the release there, we did just a fun publicity stunt where we put Nathan back in his costume and turned him loose in Central Park. In New York, and that was a lot of fun. So we did get back in.
Yeah, I did get. I mean, and it was really fun to get back into it as well, just because it's like, oh yeah, it's uncomfortable and it's physically tiring, but how often do you get to do that? I mean, we only got to do it for like 20 some odd days on set, and so getting even to do it one more time afterwards was a lot of fun.
You could make a whole documentary about freaking people out when they're camping in the woods.
Yeah. Until he gets shot, yeah. Or that's the end of the doc, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
I really enjoy presenting it here in London. I think everyone's going to love it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.